How y'all doing, North Carolina? This looks like a beautiful crowd that's excited and ready to take our country back. That's right, it's just 2 days away. It is almost here. You can see it, you can feel it. In just a few minutes, the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, will be right here. And I know North Carolina is going to deliver a big victory for President Trump. Now, you can feel the energy. Everybody in this country knows what's at stake. We don't need to tell you how consequential it is, but we do know that every vote matters, and it's so important that you tell your friends. All of you are going to vote. I know everybody here is going to vote, right? I bet a lot of you already voted early. But I also know this. Each one of us has friends that may not vote. Each one of us has friends that somehow or another may not know yet how they're going to vote. And that's where it's so important that we leave it all out on the field, that we spend the next 2 days making it crystal clear to our friends that don't know what's at stake. Because there's some basic questions that we can answer. Do we want energy independence again? We know how to get it. Do we want a secure American border again? Do we want lower prices at the grocery store? Well, we know this. Kamala Harris created these problems, and Donald Trump knows how to fix these problems. So when you're talking to your friends, you don't need to get too complicated about it. You can ask the old Ronald Reagan question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Now, we know that answer is no. If they actually like the way things are going right now, if they're one of those elitists from Washington, D.C., or from Hollywood maybe, then maybe they're fine with the way things are. But I can tell you, because I've been around most parts of this country the last few months, and people are struggling. More than that, people are fed up because they know this is not the greatness of the United States of America, and they know we can do better, and they know Donald Trump will make this country great again. You know, I was in Wisconsin the other day, and I got to meet this young gentleman, Luke. Talk about a great American. He went to a Kamala Harris rally just a few days ago, and you may not know Luke's name, but you probably know what he said at the Kamala Harris rally. And it told you everything you need to know for your friends that maybe aren't sure what they're going to do. He stood up at the rally and he said, Jesus is Lord. Now, I appreciate that it gets a great applause, a great celebration. God deserves respect because God created this great nation, one nation under God. But do you know what Kamala Harris, the Democrat nominee for president, said to young Luke? She said, you're at the wrong rally. My God. Who would support a candidate for president of the United States, of all places, who would try to kick God out of the rally, who would tell you you don't belong, that you're at the wrong rally? I can tell you this, you're all at the right rally if you believe that we're one nation founded under God. I have personally seen God perform miracles. I was shot on a ball field, and I would not be alive today without miracles performed by God, without the heroism, by the way, of our great police officers, who they want to defund. We're sure not going to let them do that. But I want to tell you something else about that day, because it's a side of Donald Trump that very few people get to see. And I sure saw it that night. When my wife flew in from New Orleans to D.C., she didn't know if her husband was going to make it through the night. I was in a coma for 3 days, so I didn't know what was going on. But I do know this. When we were at our lowest point, and my wife's there at the hospital with our kids wondering if I was going to make it through, it happened to be June 14th, which was Donald Trump's birthday. And they were having a party at the White House to celebrate his birthday. He left his birthday party to come to the hospital to check on me, and more than that, to console my family in our moment of grief. And it didn't end there. I was in the hospital for 3.5 months, and my kids were there, and boy, it lifted me up to see them. But I can imagine, for 2 young kids under 15 years old, spending the summer at a hospital in D.C. was not probably the funnest thing to do. And so Donald Trump would just call every now and then and tell Jennifer, Jen, bring the kids over to the White House. And he would show them around. He would just take care of them while he was doing his job. This is the side of Donald Trump. He cares about people. He loves this country, but more than that, he loves the people of this country. And we need a president who's going to show that kind of love and caring and commitment, because there is too much at stake. This is too great of a nation to watch failure after failure. We know we can do better. We know every one of you deserves better than what you've gotten the last 3.5 years. When Kamala Harris goes on The View, now believe me, I've been on The View one time and I somehow made it out alive. When Kamala goes on The View, they're lifting her softballs, and she didn't even know how to answer the softballs. They said, hey, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? And she gave yet another telling answer. I can't think of a thing. I mean, when you've got all the crises going on in the United States, all around the world's on fire, and you have an opportunity to get a mulligan, Kamala Harris, and you said, nope, wouldn't change a thing. That means she wants you to continue paying high gas prices. She wants you to continue paying more at the grocery store. She wants an open southern border. But then she will tell you, hey, all of a sudden she's for an open border. She's for closing the border. Does anybody believe that? She now says she's for fracking, for energy, when she's been against it her whole life. Does anybody believe this magical transformation? Of course not. Everybody knows if she wanted to fix these problems, she could do it today. She and Joe Biden could go back in the Oval Office and re-sign executive orders to fix the problems that they created, but they won't. And if she gets elected, she will not fix a thing. She said it on The View. You want to fix what they broke? You've got to elect Donald Trump the next president of the United States. And he doesn't need a roadmap. You don't need a wonder, because he fixed it before. He secured the southern border and handed that to Joe Biden, who broke it. He had low energy costs. He had low grocery costs. We had no inflation, low interest rates. You wanted to be a first-time home buyer, you were able to do it at 0% interest. Today, none of those things happen. None of those things exist because they broke it. Kamala admittedly said she was the last person to leave the room when every decision was made. Do you really think she's going to change it? The only thing I might agree with her on is she said it's time to turn the page, and you know what? She may be right, because it's time to turn the page from Kamala Harris. Let's elect Donald Trump. Let's save this great nation, because God, just like God was on the ball field, you know God was in Butler, Pennsylvania. God was there as well on the golf course. They may try. They've tried before. But God's not done with Donald Trump, because God's not done with the United States of America. Let's go win this race. Let's leave it all out on the field. We've got 2 days left. Let's keep working hard, and let's go win and save this great nation. God bless you, North Carolina. God bless these great United States of America. Good seeing my colleagues here. Let's go get it.